Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Brothers and Boss Battles Video Game Showdown. Today, we're starting a new category, and that category is spin-off games. You'll get what we're talking about as we go forward. But today, for our first game in this category, we are talking Pac Man World Repack. All right, Pete, why don't you give us your initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and I actually have no recollection of Pac Man World being a thing. So I really didn't know anything about this game. As I played it, I'll say it was a little more, it wasn't particularly challenging, but it was a little more challenging than I thought it would be, and especially at the first, after playing the first few levels. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think they did a good job of capturing the spirit of Pac-Man in sort of a totally different type of game. So that's probably my biggest star for the game, and I'll leave it at that for now.
All right, Tom, what do you say?
Well, I'll say that capturing the essence of the original character or franchise is kind of the point of this category, so that's a big point for the game. But anyway, and I do agree with that, but also, yeah, I too didn't really have much knowledge of this game. I'll be honest, I didn't go in with very high expectations. I expected it to be, not a very fun game. Not something that I would really enjoy that much. That's how I was going into the game. But I will say that it definitely impressed me more than I expected it would.
All right, and I'll just say that, yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to as well. It kind of took me back to Pac Land, which we had for the TurboGrafx 16. And, I was thinking it would sort of be in the vein of that. I mean, obviously, as a remake, it had better graphics and gameplay. And, it's sort of a similar concept with a side-scrolling or platforming Pac-Man, as opposed to him in his usual arcade form. But I liked it. It was a fun little game. It's kind of easy at points, but it has a lot of sort of like collectibles and things like that, and also has elements of traditional Pac-Man to please fans. So yeah, overall good. Some a little bit simple at times, but we'll get into it a little bit more. All right, Pac-Man World Repack was developed by Now Production and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It was released on August 26th, 2022 on the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. As mentioned, this was a remake of Pac-Man World, which was released in North America on October 15th, 1999 for the PlayStation, developed by Namco Home Tech and published by Namco Home Tech here in North America. And for those that don't know, Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown, is our little podcast here. It works like this. I'm Anthony, and my two brothers, Pete and Tom, are the two other people you heard just speak. This is how the show works. Each of us picks a game that fits within a genre or category. This category we're doing is spin-off games. The first 3 episodes in that grouping, we will discuss one of those games in detail about several aspects of that game, the story, the gameplay, the effect on the gaming world, and more. The 4th episode in that grouping is our Brodown episode, where we will have a courtroom-style debate, each of us defending the game we chose while attacking the other 2, and ultimately declaring a winner.
I would like to start by asking a question, if you guys don't mind.
Oh, go right ahead.
And I think it's appropriate to start with this question because it will allow the listeners who don't know much about the game to get a better sense of what the game is like. So my question to you guys is this. How many D do you classify this platformer? Is it two
Wait.
and a half D or is it 3D?
Too many D. It kind
Uh,
of, I feel like it kind of fits the 2.5D.
yeah, it's not 3D.
I agree.
I think
So
it's a two. If we had, this could have been done in our 2.5D category that we did a few months back.
yeah. So I agree. I feel like online I've seen it classify as 3D.
Mm.
Now,
I mean, there are
you
elements
do
that are.
yeah, you do move kind of in and out of the screen to collect things or avoid enemies or whatever. So, that's kind of a 3D aspect, but
Well, I also feel like the part that they tried to make most like traditional Pac-Man is almost like 3D-ish. Like those maze levels where you're collecting the pellets and running away from the ghosts. I guess I don't know.
I guess you're not really going up and down
That
though.
was more just like the top-down view.
Yeah,
Yeah, true,
yeah.
true. It's not really 3D. And just we'll continue, but let's just give our spoiler warning here. There isn't really a deep story here, but there is a story that we'll touch on, and there's also just gameplay elements that you may want to experience for yourself the first time. So if that's the case, play the game, then come back and listen to us yammer on about this.
Okay, so
Well,
I'm glad to hear you guys
Yeah.
kind of agreed with me.
But since you brought that up, how did you feel about the kind of like, maybe this is just a personal problem, but some of like the depth perception with going on the Z axis? I felt that was probably the most difficult part of the game.
is that the jumping forward and backwards?
That's not a very descriptive way.
Like in and out of the screen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
that's what I meant.
like
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, see,
it was hard
I
to line up for me.
Yeah.
yes, and there were a few instances where I just like, felt like I was just doing some ordinary regular old jump, not even thinking I was going to miss it, and I did miss it because of that, you know,
Yeah.
perception in that Z axis,
Mm-hmm.
in the Z plane. So
Yeah.
that was a point of frustration for me.
Yeah, and that was even in. Okay, so just another thing I wanted to just tell the listeners. We all played Repack, right? And for modern-ish systems, I played on my PS5. What about you guys?
PS5 as well.
Mm,
I played on the Switch.
okay, so all right. So did anyone pop in Pac-Man World for the PlayStation?
I
Not me.
didn't. I didn't, and I don't believe we didn't have this game, right?
No.
Yeah.
So you
All
didn't
right.
buy any off eBay or anything like that? Facebook Marketplace, maybe?
I probably wouldn't do Facebook, but I would if it's a reasonable price, which I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Yeah,
I might be interested in buying it to
I,
compare.
I've seen gameplay and of the old one, so we could touch on the original one a little bit, but our review will mostly be of Repack.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the original a little later on too, kind of in the context of other games that were coming out around that time.
Hmm.
So I mentioned things. I mentioned in my initial thoughts that they did a lot of things, in my opinion, to kind of keep it true to Pac-Man and make it feel like Pac-Man, as best they could in a totally different game. So I mean, I like
Yeah,
that. I thought that was cool and added to the fun I was having.
yeah.
So you could collect the
The
fruits.
fruit,
Like,
yeah, then those open doors that
yeah,
you would
right,
need to some to complete the level and others just to essentially 100% it.
right. But also within the levels, I'm not sure if it was in virtually every single level. I feel they had like that. I think they called it a power pellet or something, where you get that, then you turn big and invincible, where you could kind of eat the ghosts and
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
collect the
And played
dots.
all the familiar sound effects and whatnot.
Yeah, and then they had the part Ant where you were mentioning with the mazes, like the top down, which is more like a traditional
Yeah,
Pac-Man gameplay.
right. They were essentially just bonus levels, but again, things you would have to beat if you wanted 100% the game. Those were fun, way easier than actual Pac-Man
Yeah.
arcade game though, like way easier.
Yeah. Yeah, just as a quick tangent, so I went to a museum exhibit recently about Pac-Man, and they had playable essentially like the arcade cabinets for like the original Pac Man, and it was very difficult.
Yeah.
I think I got to level 2, maybe 3.
I
Wow.
know.
So once you complete Pac-Man World, well, Pac-Man World repack at least, you can,
Um,
you get like a arcade
Unlock
mode
the
or
arcade.
classic mode, whatever they
Right,
called it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool.
Did
Yeah, that
you
was
try
cool.
that? Like,
I
was it the same as the arcade that you played at the museum, Tom?
I think it was, yeah. I think
I
it's essentially just the original.
I
Yeah.
think it might actually be harder from what I've read
Oh
than the
wow.
original. But I did try and play that because in order to plat this game, you need to get through 9 levels, which I,
Eesh.
which I think is effectively impossible. Though I have found online there are people that have routed the routes that you need to take in
Uh,
order to beat it.
Wow.
Like the ghosts sort of follow the same route every time if you go this way. Because the
hmm
ghosts are apparently have some sort of AI where they will sort of try to trap you, but you can also deceive them, if you will. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get it, but it is cool to have that as a reward for beating the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried it. I didn't spend much time with it, but I think I got to the third level.
Not bad.
I beat 2 levels.
Yeah,
What?
now that you mention it, I do recall them like really trapping you a lot.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
two of them going like they were they seemed very smart.
Yeah. That's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
So one other element of repack that I felt, made it a little truer to the, classic Pac-Man was the element of the high score. As you, I guess, defeated enemies and collected fruit and stuff, you got a high score, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to collect and you know uh, increase your score, and that score stays with you throughout the entire game, and you get like a cumulative high score.
Yeah.
So So some people maybe are into that. I'm not super into the high scores, but
I mean, that is
I like.
very callback to the arcade, though,
Right,
when the
exactly.
only thing really was high scores. There was no story to find out what happened. There was no getting to the end, for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was cool too.
Yeah. What I thought was sort of funny and a sign of the year in which this came out was the fact that they added something called easy mode from the original Pac-Man world. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah. So how did you feel about the difficulty? I mean, easy mode, in my opinion, probably tried to appeal to a much younger
Yeah.
player.
Yeah,
But
because yeah, I played on normal or whatever the standard one was.
Yeah. Are you saying that there was the easy mode in the original one, or they added
No,
that? Oh, okay, they
it
added that
was
for the remake.
it was
Gotcha.
added for repack, yeah,
Yeah.
which is funny.
Yeah. It's funny, like if I was at a spot where I like
Yeah,
like died twice
yeah,
jumping, like not even like getting killed by enemies, just
yeah.
like jumping off because of the depth perception that I mentioned earlier, then I would say, "Do you want to go in easy mode?" And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, what are they gonna do? Like make you
there's like
unable to?
extra blocks or something.
It
yes.
there
There's
is.
extra blocks,
Yeah, there's
and
Oh
I
extra
think
wow.
blocks.
you could hover for an extra second, like.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, wow. They okay.
But
It
that's
really is easy mode.
Yeah.
so that yeah,
I figured that
that
they would just make it like you have more health or something.
No,
no,
Wow.
no, no.
They really went all in on the easy mode.
I mean, 95% of the difficulty in this game was the platforming.
yeah. Hmm.
It wasn't losing your health. I
The
mean,
enemy,
I did lose my health a couple of
yeah.
times, but
Same here.
Against the bosses, you
I
can.
yeah, well,
did,
yeah,
yeah. I did lose even in the levels. Like that was part of the depth perception. Sometimes you would do your move the butt bounce, and I would like do it like right in front of them accidentally, and then they would walk into me and hurt me. So like I actually did lose lives against enemies, but it really wasn't difficult. The difficulty in this game was the platforming, and it was more so the you think you're jumping onto a thing perfectly and you just misjudged it as opposed to, you're jumping while trying to dodge enemies and you made a mistake and fell off. It's more just the
yeah,
depth perception, even with the improved graphics and everything. And just controls. So, that's a bit of a frustrating thing, I guess, about this game that it's like it's very easy. It's pretty easy. I won't say it's very easy, but it's like it's fairly easy, but the hard parts are sort of like annoying and cheap at times.
Since we're talking about kind of like annoying cheap controls, did you guys also have issues with the move where you spin fast and then you like go up a hill and then you have to jump and then sometimes it
Yes.
would just be like you would just
Belly
really
flop into the hole.
yeah, basically instead of doing the actual
Yes.
full jump.
Well, I wanted to bring, yeah, thanks for bringing that up because that was definitely the case. That was one of the hardest moves I feel you had to do in the game was the roll into like a ramp. And then it was unclear whether you should press the jump button or
Yeah,
not
yeah.
press the jump button because a
And
lot
it's
of
like,
times when I
when are you
pressed the
supposed to
jump
press it?
button,
Like, are you supposed to press it early or
yeah,
like after you already leave the ramp or like
yeah,
right when you get to the apex of the ramp?
yeah, that was the hardest I think thing for me in the game
Yeah,
was making those
I beat the
jumps.
game without ever like really figuring it out what the
Yeah,
right way was. I just kind of like guessed my
yeah.
way to
It's like
Yeah,
victory.
yeah,
I was
sometimes your
gonna say the
muscle
same
will do
thing.
it right, sometimes your muscles won't, and you
Exactly,
just
yeah.
yeah. Because you didn't really
Yeah,
start that far back when you died, so it's sort of like you did get to just kind of try and try again.
yeah, I
Unless you
do
lost
feel
all
like
your lives.
the checkpoints were pretty plentiful.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone listened to our Donkey Kong Country episode, they know we're happy about the plentiful checkpoints.
Yeah. I mean, in this game I probably wouldn't have minded less
Yeah,
checkpoints just because
Yeah.
it was easier to navigate the levels.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like it was super easy. I mean, I feel
Yeah,
like it
no, I
scaled.
agree.
It was
The
a
bo
steep difficulty scale. I'm trying to say.
Yeah. The
So the
bosses
first few
were
levels,
were tough, but go ahead, sorry.
no, the first few levels, let's say the first two levels were pretty easy. But by the time you got to the last few, I thought there were a lot of challenging parts.
Yeah, the jumping.
Well, it's a platformer, so
Yeah. They made a lot of there was what was interesting about this as a platformer is there was sort of backtracking. You would hit those like numbered buttons where you'd hit one and then you'd have to go to a certain part and then you'd hit two on the other side and go the other way. And that was sort of a different element, but they were able to make it interesting because of the 2D 2.5D-ish of it as opposed to just being a straight 2D.
yeah. I mean, there wasn't sort of backtracking. There was a ton of backtracking. Like
Yeah.
that was their main
Yeah.
uh,
Way to make the levels long and not build
yeah, yeah,
long level.
like the way to hide secrets or something, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, yeah, that's what a lot of this game is. It's really it's collecting the letters, making out Pac-Man in each level, in
Like
each
Kong.
yeah, like Kong, but this time Pac-Man. The fruits would open up different doors. So you do want to get those. You'd get the secret mazes. Um, you'd get coins to use at the slot machine. At the
Yeah,
end of each
and
level.
keys to unlock the cages that your family members have been imprisoned in.
Right. And that segues nicely. We'll spoiler alert again and talk about the story. And it essentially is the ghosts go to Pac-Man's like where he's having a party to capture Pac-Man and bring him back to the fake Pac-Man called Talkman's lair and sort of, for them to use. And rather than seeing Pac-Man there, they see all of Pac-Man's family and friends there. So there's like the Pac dog and like Pac grandpa and all that and like and so the ghosts take all of them instead and then part of what you're doing in these levels other than getting to the end of it is trying to find the keys to unimprison or unlock all of these family members and friends um you know for the end. So there's your story.
From what I read, and did you read this? It was mandatory to unlock all the family members in the original.
Oh really?
Yeah, but in repack, they help you at the end there, but
Well,
they're
I was gonna
not.
say that's like the coolest part of the game, where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you're fighting Talk Man, and it's like if you get low on health, they'll zoom in on one of the family members, and they're like, "Here, Pac Man, here's some energy," and it like throws it down, and it's like a whole big group effort. I wound up Talk Man was tough because I wound up using all of the members I saved, and I saved at least four, if not all. I think there's five in total,
6.
Six.
six in total. So I think I had definitely had at least four, if not five. But wound up using them all in the battle against Talkman.
Yeah, if you don't save at least one or two, that's a very difficult challenge at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I saved 4, and I definitely used at least 3 of the healths at the end.
Yeah, so that's exactly my comment. I also saved four, and I don't remember, but I think I used three of the healths.
Mm. Yeah, so that was a cool little feature. To tie in like the story and saving them with the end of the game. So that was cool. I mean, the levels themselves they're very fun. They're vibrant. They got like different elements in them. There's water parts in each level, with pretty good swimming controls. And from what I read and hear, better than the original, which like required like I think like triangle and X on the PlayStation control to like go up or down. Whereas now you basically kind of like sort of float. You could float down and you just press X to kind of just like go in stay up and swim and try to go to the direction you want to go in. And then of course you can get the metal pellet, which would weighs you down and allows you to go on the body of water surface, that you otherwise couldn't really do.
Yeah, and then you can use your butt bounce to get.
Yeah, underwater treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool. So I mean, the levels. I mean, I like the carnival level because it was very bright and like the clowns and all of that stuff
That
on
was
it.
my least favorite level, I think.
Really,
The fun house level.
funhouse level. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they had a
Wow.
factory level which I thought was really like sort of boring.
Yeah.
Uh, they had
First
like
one was the pirate one.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was like the beach pirate. Yeah,
That one I liked. And then
yeah, that was good.
there's the like kind of Egyptian
Ruins.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ruins. Yeah.
yeah, desert kind of. Yeah, and all of the bosses kind of play off the level, which is cool.
Yeah. And then there was the space one. I think that might have been my favorite,
Hmm.
which was the third, we're calling them levels. I don't know. The third level, because then there's like sub levels within each of these levels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually played that one second. I don't know how this happened, but I skipped the ruins area somehow.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is somewhat open world in that sense. Not really,
Well,
not
I
really.
Yeah.
think yeah, I think you can do the first 3 in any order
Right.
because they're all kind of open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's right.
the two, like level 2 was actually to the left of level 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so naturally in a game like that, you're going to the right,
Yes, exactly.
which is
That's
probably
exactly what
why
I
you
did.
did 3. Yeah.
But then I
yeah.
completed three, and like the next door didn't open for the next world. So then I was like, what the heck's going on? So then I went back and I realized I never played two.
Oh, you did have to go in order?
You didn't have to go in order, but you had to
Oh.
complete the first three before you unlock the fourth.
Right, right.
That was a little goofy, but whatever. No
Yeah.
harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think choosing the levels in the original game was a little bit more linear than in this game.
Huh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the sub levels were all in order. The levels within a level.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. It'd be labeled, 4-1, 4-2, whatever.
Yeah. But like 4-2 didn't open until you beat
Right.
4-1, right?
Right. And you would be able to get collectibles and all. So it was the Pac Man letters and all. They had the mazes in each level, or
Yeah.
most levels that you can get. That was another
You have to
collectible.
find
The
the
Galaxian.
spaceship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Galaxian.
Switching gears a little bit, did you guys ever use the attack where you throw a
The pellet.
pellet?
Only on some bosses where it was like required. A Talk Man at the end,
Yeah.
when you have to hit his feet. Like I used it then. And then I think against that big metal enemy, Actually, no, that might have been the roll. I have to say, I used
Yeah,
the butt bounce like 75% of the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
same.
and
yeah.
then
I
and
feel like
then
I never used the
the
pellet
pellet.
throw.
Yeah,
Like
very very rarely.
definitely not in like just a normal level.
See, I feel I use that more than even the roll. The roll was the least used by me.
Hmm.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I mean, there's three basic attacks. There's a butt bounce where you jump and press, I guess it was X or whatever, and it would like, you know, jut down and like, bounce, and it would also give you the ability to like jump a little higher. There was a roll where he would, his feet would start going really fast, and then he would roll into an enemy or up a ramp or whatever you needed it for. And then one where if you had pellets, he would be able to throw them, because you collect pellets throughout the level. So those are the three main attack moves. There was also a float, which was added to this game, where he could kind of like jump and stay afloat, which could help on some of the platforming or avoiding uh, low attacking enemies. I think that was really it as far as the movements you could do. You could move in all directions, so that was another thing. But those are the main moves. The roll also helped you, like there were certain platforms that you could make move by doing the fast feet spinning thing that would lead into the roll. So that was another little gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, they use that a lot,
Yeah.
actually. Were there any particular levels or parts that you thought were especially easy or difficult or liked and didn't like?
So
Because I have a couple.
yeah. Let me just say one because there's one that comes to mind. It's just really a part in a level, and I actually don't remember what level, but it was when you had to use the roll to get up a big hill, and there were like halfway markers, not markers, halfway. There were like big stones that were, jutting into the main ramp or hill or whatever it was. So you'd have to kind of like do the roll, like do the fast legs into the roll, and then sort of move the directional key so you'd end up on that like block as a platform and then start over again because there was enemies attacking and the roll sometimes wasn't always great. So that part stuck out to me as very annoying.
Yeah, I remember that part. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I forget what level that was in. I don't know if it was
Yeah,
the
yeah, I don't
runes.
remember.
The runes seemed too early for that to have been, though it would have worked there, but I don't think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was gonna mention that too. There's like you have to roll up, and then you like butt bounce, right, to get up the
Oh, I get
remainder of
you.
the way.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like fire coming and hitting. There's something that's like you have to time it, right?
There's ones with
that's a separate
fires,
part.
but there's ones with like enemies just attacking or there too, where they're like
Okay.
they're going back and forth essentially, and you just gotta kind of time it. But it's hard when you can't see the whole screen, like up
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
way.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know. That part just like always stuck in my craw.
Yeah, so I have some specifics, but this talk more kind of generally, like in this vein. The parts where there were like three or four of those trampolines that were angled, like in
Mm,
succession,
yeah,
that also kind of got me pretty annoyed.
yeah. Those were sometimes hard to maneuver, where it
Yeah,
would like not like you would go to jump on it and it wouldn't like
and you'd
jump
just kind
down, like it wouldn't
of,
butt bounce on it.
yeah,
And
like you'd slide off it.
yeah, yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah. So I liked the boss and the little kind of level before the boss in the space level, the third level, which is kind of like a Space Invaders type of
Oh yeah,
Oh
part.
yeah, yeah. That was cool.
I thought that was pretty fun. It was
Yeah,
pretty
the
easy, but
bosses
pretty
were good.
fun.
yeah.
The
The
bo
boss battles in this game were pretty creative, I felt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I think that was a plus for
I
the
like that.
game.
Yeah, Windbag, the like pirate ship was the first
Yeah,
one. Anubis Rex was cool. That was a tough boss battle.
that was really annoying.
Yeah, when
That was
he
tough.
when you start like you had to essentially hit him four times. That's simplifying the whole battle a little bit, but I mean there were times where like towards the end where he's shooting out lasers and you have all these like mummies and everything. It was just a real pain in the neck to get through.
Yeah, and after each time you hit him, he kind of like more panels of the floor would
Yeah,
disappear,
well,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
That was the hard part. There was a lot of time, well, a handful of times where I would try to use my like that roll, that charge running attack, whatever, and I would like totally whiff on the enemy and kill myself basically.
The other one I thought was
I
it was. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I did that too. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
quite frustrating. Like when you
Yeah.
get towards the end of the fight.
Yes.
I like the I guess this was in the Funhouse level, the clown pre race
Yeah. That's
instead
another
of
good
an
part.
actual boss battle. I thought that was cool. So essentially, you race all the ghosts and you have to come in first. So I thought that was cool, and it was tough at first. Once you get the hang of it, it became pretty easy. It's essentially it becomes like a one-on-one race. It's like you just got to get to that first one, and then you'll win. And you got to kind of cut the corners. The controls for the racing were pretty easy. It wasn't like you were playing Gran Turismo and you needed to be like an actual
Yeah.
driver like to get through it. But
I beat that on my first try
oh
actually. So
really? Oh
yeah.
nice. There's a I mean I know trophy maybe achievement for beating it in 140 seconds or less. I think I've like come in right above that each time. So
Oh,
yeah.
I played on Switch, so I didn't have to worry about any of that.
Oh yeah. You didn't have any cool stuff like that.
Since you mentioned
So
trophies a couple of times, it seems like the platinum in this game is very difficult.
Well, just having to beat that original Pac-Man 9 levels is,
True, yeah.
I mean, that I think that's what's gonna
But
kill it
also
for a
there
lot.
was one for like the slot machine getting
Yeah,
the whatever
Galaxian.
Galaxian.
Yeah, the three across. Yeah, that slot machine game is not easy. I think I did get three across once. I think it was cherries, but that
I
was it.
did with I think strawberries, which is like it appears more frequently, so
yeah.
Yeah.
it's easier to get.
No, but
Oh, maybe it was strawberries then for me. It was some red fruit.
it's uh, it's possible to track it. So if you really
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to, I tracked it. So I got three in a row, a decent amount of times.
Oh,
Other
nice.
times I just wasn't interested in just
Measuring the
Yeah,
money.
just
yeah.
press. You know,
That was the thing. Yeah, that is the kind of thing that if you just study and write down or whatever, you can do it. And you just, your reflexes got to be decent, but that's about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I wasn't really interested in doing that.
Yeah. The Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man is just like, I don't even know if that's a skill thing. I think it's really just like sort of exploiting those paths.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would like to I would like to read a book about that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like, I mean, you know how like there was that big like documentary about the guy who got the highest score in Donkey Kong?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's someone like that equivalent in Pac-Man who
Oh,
has like the
sure.
world record for, the highest score, and I'm sure whoever that person is did some exploits like that
Yeah.
or learned them,
Mm-hmm.
before the days of the internet.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, this week on Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown, we are discussing Pac-Man World Repack. And for our mid-episode filler Would You Rather question, we decided to talk about other classic video games. Not that Pac-Man World Repack is a classic, but it's based on a classic. So today we're asking you, the listeners, the following. Which one of these three games would you rather play? Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, or Pac-Man / Ms. Pac-Man? Let us know your thoughts on our Instagram and X pages at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Our website, brothersandbossbattles.com, or wherever you get this podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to get the answers to these questions as well as our latest content. And with that, back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, we're back discussing the pack.
Nice. So before we move away, we were just talking about sort of just favorite, least favorite levels or bosses, a little bit more specific. I did want to call out level 6.1. So that was Ghostly Garden. I thought that was the most challenging in the whole game. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that or if you remember that level specifically, but I had a hard time with it.
Yeah, those latter game levels were the hardest ones, yes.
but it was 6.1, not 6.2 or
True,
6.3.
true, true.
I don't recall that one specifically. I do, yeah. I mean, I do recall it getting more difficult towards the end of the game. Was there anything in particular about that level that was particularly
No, and
challenging?
there were a few different parts, and I feel like that level was long, longer than most. And there were, in, or at least it felt this way. Maybe I don't know if it was just because it was more challenging for me, but it did feel like there were a couple of parts where the checkpoints were,
Mm,
spaced apart. Larger. You had to navigate a larger period before you reach the next checkpoint.
Mm.
more checkpoints.
Yeah, it's always the answer. More checkpoints, more fun.
Every step you take.
So we mentioned how we didn't really. This game wasn't really on our radar, or I should say, the original game for the PlayStation wasn't really on our radar. Um, but from when I was reading it, sold very well,
Mhm.
and I think it critiqued reasonably well as well.
As well. Yeah, it seems
Well,
seems that. Yeah. I think it is it's a fun little game. It's like you could kind of just throw it on, go to a level that you haven't gotten all the collectibles in yet and just play that portion of a level and be done with it, or stick it out for a couple hours and play multiple levels. So it's it's
I
got
I do
good.
get why a game like this would have been popular at the time in which it came out, though.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So I want to touch on something different that both of you said, each of you said. So first, and you were talking about just popping in and getting collectibles. I feel like the difficulty of the game is quite good, like very spot on if you're trying to 100% the game. Because we were talking recently again to mention Donkey Kong Country, but just the frustrating nature of it and the difficulty at times, it didn't promote, you know, exploring and discovery. Whereas here, I feel like you do feel, you're able to do that because it's not so difficult.
Yeah.
You're able to try to find new things and 100% the game. But again, it's not that it's just like a walk in the park either, at least in my opinion. So that was what I want to comment based on something that you said. And then, Tom, you were talking about understanding why it would be popular for the time. So towards the beginning of the level, I kind of referenced this, and I wanted to bring this up because
Beginning of the episode.
beginning of the episode, yeah, what did I say?
Level.
Okay, it's beginning of the episode. I feel, and we all felt independently, that this is more of a 2.5D than a 3D. So, like, this came out in 1999.
The original.
Now,
Not
oh, sorry, the
remake.
original, yes.
Yeah.
And, we covered 2.5D platformers in episode, I think, 33 through 36. So go check those episodes out. But those three games, Klonoa, Tomba, Crash Bandicoot 2, they were all games that came out in 1997. So it's 2 years earlier than this game. And I feel like that's really where this game compares to them. And a lot of people might argue that this game isn't as good as those or some of those. But, in 1999, Donkey Kong 64 was coming out. You know,
So I don't know what point you're trying to make. You're
the point I'm
right
trying to
now
make is
you've
it's a
just
little
stated
bit,
facts.
it's a, it's a little bit like after its time,
They should have had the extra
Okay.
Like,
point five D at that point.
yeah, like if this game came out in 1997, I would
Oh, I
laud
see
it
what you're
more.
saying. Yeah. Honestly, I don't. It's certainly, well, I don't know that I want to say it's not better than or that it is worse than any of those games, but it's certainly the least involved.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think so.
we
Right.
don't have to go go ahead and compare it to those games, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. To me, it felt fairly similar to a Crash Bandicoot. Now, I know you mentioned that it came out 2 years ago, but I mean, 2 years before. Um,
Exactly.
but Crash Bandicoot 2 was essentially the same.
I mean,
No, I
Crash
think Crash
Bandicoot,
Bandicoot 2 came out in 1997.
Uh, well, Crash Bandicoot 3 was essentially the same.
but I feel that I just want to see if Crash Bandicoot 2 came out in 1998. I mean, 3. That would just be funny because it'd be before them. Anyway, I mean, Crash Bandicoot 2 is has way more challenge than this game. But I think it's also better in the sense that, well, just the elements of it are better, but also it's just like you can just run through it and play easily and have a fairly just fun experience, or really punish yourself with the collectibles. I really don't feel like getting the collectibles here is too punishing.
No, it's not punching. I
So
don't
in the
want to talk
sense
about
of,
challenging or not challenging
yeah,
when
but
I'm doing
that's
this
that
comparison.
I think that's part of the programming of it though, and whether it's a good game or not.
By the way, Crash Bandicoot 3 came out in 1998.
What about Crash Bandicoot?
No Way Out or whatever, or It's
What was
About
the?
Time. Was it
Nah,
it?
that was way after.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding.
There was the one on PS2 with the really long loading screens.
I thought that was 3, wasn't it? Or no?
Nah, that was three was warped.
Hmm.
Uh,
All right, we're going off topic here.
yeah, but anyway, so I just when we're making our recommendations a little later, I'm keeping that context in my mind, and I'm
Well, yeah, but keep in mind we are reviewing the repack, the remake. So
that's true. But I think it's a pretty
yeah,
uh faithful, you know, remake.
yeah, that is my understanding. Other than we pointed out a few things like the flutter thing that he can do. Um, some other little changes. That kind of segues. I mean, obviously the graphics are a lot nicer. It looks very much like a PlayStation 1 game, the 1999 original. But I think the levels and the setup are pretty much the same. Though I do want to point out one very sort of telling of the times, both then and especially now, of the story elements. Because the very beginning and the ending after you beat it are very different in the original as to this. So I just found it funny. Like it gave me a chuckle when I saw it. So just again, spoiler warning because we'll spoil the end as well. But the beginning, as we mentioned, the story is that the ghosts come, in the new game in Repack to find Pac Man and capture him, but instead capture his family. And that sounds harrowing and like you know mean, or worse than mean, but like whatever. But it's done in a very cartoonish sort of way. Like they put like those hypnotized like crazy glasses on the grandpa, or Professor Pack, I think is what his real name is in this, and he kind of like just stumbles and falls, and they like pick him up, and like everything's done in a very cartoony, cutish manner. Um, in the original one, there's like it's sort of kind of like like screwed up. Like some of the takings are pretty scary. Like one of them in particular, like the Ms. Pac-Man like character, where it's like
Pac
it's
Mom.
Pac-Man. I think it's something different in
Oh,
the 1999 version, but they do like a horror movie like a camera angle that's been used in horror movies where it's like from the perspective of the killer or the kidnapper or whatever it is, and it's just like a first person view from that person and like sneaks up on the victim, and then another one where they pull one of the other characters like into the dirt, like through like almost like a pulling from the depths of the earth like a zombie or something. So it's like very much more like violent and disturbing in the original one, and they soften that up quite a bit in this one. And then the ending, which is also really funny. So it turns out after you beat Talkman that he's being controlled by one of the ghosts, and the ghost is like, it's very sad and crying after he gets beat in the game. He's like, no one likes the ghost, no one likes to play with the ghosts, and so in Repack, like after he makes his little spiel after being defeated, Pac-Man like shakes his hand, like okay, it's like it's okay, whatever. In the original one, after he's done like crying and whining about no one wanting to play with ghosts, Pac-Man takes one of the pellets, turns real big, and eats the ghost. So it's just so telling how like that how much
sign of
changed
the
in like
times. Yeah,
yeah, how much changed in like society like in those 23 years or whatever it was.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two endings, or at least part of the ending changes if you save all the family members.
Mm.
So that's the true ending when you do that.
I think in Repack they're all like just they go to the party basically, but the ghosts are there too. Like they've kind of all become friends, kind of a thing.
I
Hmm.
wasn't paying too much to the story, to be honest.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, I could have sworn that I saw Pac-Man eat the ghost.
Really?
Maybe I'm making that up, but
I mean, you, you are?
That would be a weird thing to think that you saw,
or, ma-
considering that it was actually true
or
of
maybe no, maybe it was he actually just gets big and eats Talk Man.
Right,
mm.
because at the end, yes, at the end you do get the like the pellet.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of actually.
So since we're talking about story, there was no voice acting, right?
No, it was just like sounds, and they
Just
had
sounds.
the
Yeah,
closed
so that kind
captioning
of
kind of thing.
that turned me off a little bit. Whether it's the remake or even in 1999, I feel like there could have been a voice acting. I was actually reading that they had considered in the original voicing Pac-Man, but they didn't they couldn't decide or they didn't want to kind of give him a certain type of voice or persona attitude, whatever you want to call it. So they
Hmm.
didn't do that.
Mm. I guess he's never had really a voice, so that would have been an interesting choice to make.
Well, they did. I think in Pac-Man World 3, they gave him a voice, if I'm not wrong.
Mm.
And I think it was like kind of in the vein of like Sonic, like a younger, cool type of voice.
Oh wait, hold on. To Tom's point, there is a good ending and a bad ending. The good ending, he shakes his hand and does all that. The bad ending, he does take a pellet and eat that ghost.
What does good ending and bad ending refer to? Is that
I
Well,
think
that's
the
like the
good
dual
ending is
endings. It's like,
good ending is if you save all the
yeah,
family.
okay?
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. So maybe you
that
did see
tracks.
that, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't save all the family members, so
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So they lightened it up a little bit.
This is for the true ending.
yeah,
Yeah, and it is the true endings.
By the way, Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex came out in 2001.
Mm.
that was the one I was thinking of.
Yes,
Ra- Random Crash Bandicoot facts. The
Pac-Man was in Super Smash Brothers.
yeah, that is true.
And he did not have a voice in that game.
Mm, tying it into what we're talking about.
I just want to go back to the bosses for a second. The one that stood out to me that I particularly didn't like was that metal one. I guess it was the factory level. Just because I couldn't figure out what to do like early on. That's the one with the conveyor belts are going, and you essentially need to get the metal one so that you could go across those hot pipes and do like the roll attack on them. But like it took me so long to figure that out, and I like didn't want to look it up or whatever. So like that one always, when I think of it, made me annoyed because it just was like tough to figure out for me at least.
Yeah, it was a little tough. I mean, a couple of things because at least no matter how long it takes you to figure out, it's not like you it's not like you have to play 7 levels, over and over again. So that's
Yeah.
great. And then I feel like once you figured out what you had to do, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost said it already, but I really liked the boss battles.
Yay!
And they were all different, a little challenging in their own way.
I feel
Yeah,
like
it
it,
wasn't just to like hit him like hit the boss 3 times
yeah,
kind of thing, you
yeah,
know?
it was cool. Yeah, like even the windbag and stuff, like you had to like he was shooting cannonballs out at you, so you'd have to reflect them as opposed, so that was kind of a cool little mechanic that you had to time properly and everything.
Yeah, and that was the first boss. That was a little
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
basic.
but it's still kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the race, like we mentioned, the car race. Pete, when you said boss battles like is good or boss, whatever you said, I was like thinking we could put subliminal messaging into the podcast and say boss battles is good, boss battles is good, brothers and boss battles is good.
Great idea. All right. I think that's everything I have in my notes.
Well, before we do final thoughts, though, I'd like to, if you guys have, discuss our stats from this game. We was thinking maybe percentage complete, high score total, and time.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, definitely. So I'll go percentage 70%.
I'll take the crab juice.
My percentage was 76.
Ooh.
Mine was 82.
Oh
Now,
wow.
I do want to say this is completing the game and
Going back.
not going back and doing anything.
I did go
Oh, me
back,
too.
not much. So I was
I went I,
probably,
I went back and not much also.
yeah, I did maybe
But
one
this
extra
is
level. Not extra level. I think I like 100% did one extra portion of a level, like
Right,
one.
right, right.
Yeah. So I was probably right at 80, maybe, just on my first playthrough, and then whatever. So that was
Yeah.
that. Um, my time was 12 hours and 38 minutes and 34 seconds for those counting.
Why
wow.
don't you go next?
Mine was 6 hours and 3 minutes.
Wow.
That's good. So my time and some of this maybe just kind of leaving it running. Like I do that a lot, like
Yeah.
my cat wakes up and
Yeah.
I have 14 hours and 25 minutes.
That's crazy. So you 100% of the game like twice or
Yeah.
something?
I triple platted it.
It's crazy.
It didn't feel,
It,
me with the length of games and
yeah.
because of the nature of what we're doing, I like to get on to the next thing. It didn't feel like 14 and a half hours of gameplay to me.
No, it was a fun game and it wasn't overly frustrating, so I think that helps. Um, all right, one thing before we do the high score totals, I did just kind of want to point out, just because this is a discussion that we sometimes have, my PlayStation app did show that I had played this game for 13 hours. So that is rounding up from the 12 hours, 38 minutes. So, it's a somewhat accurate total, I feel, that we can rely on. We sometimes question how much we can rely on that or not.
Yeah, that was no, that's good. Good validation.
All right, high score total.
Okay,
Mine
I'll
was,
I'll go. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Go
no, you go. No, maybe it'll be funny. I'll go if you go last.
ahead.
I had 588,605.
Mine was 602,540.
Mine was
Mine was 12.
432,395.
So most hours played, least percentage complete, and least high score. All right.
This is the worst game ever.
All right. And with those embarrassing numbers for Pete, why don't you lead us off with final thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know what to expect, and then as I was playing it, I was having good fun with it. I won't beat around the bush. I am not going to recommend this game. I just feel like and you mentioned it a couple times. It's a little basic or simple, if you want to say it that way. Um, a lot of it is kind of just backtracking, more of the same, collecting stuff. It's not a bad game. I think you could probably find better use of your 14 hours and 25 minutes. And I also just want to talk about the original Pac-Man world a little bit. And I want to emphasize in the context I was presenting, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes ago, where I feel like it stacks up to games that came out 2 years prior. And when you stack it up to games that came out around the same time, it doesn't compare. So I think that says something something negative about the game. I don't know what exactly, but so having said all that, I'm gonna pass and I'm gonna say you should pass.
All right, I'll go next. That's an interesting point because I liked this game. I had fun with it. It was a game that I could play like with my kids watching and that they would have fun watching it. It wasn't frustrating. It had fun bosses and had some cool collectibles. It unlocked the original Pac Man version. It's a lot of cool things, but I don't think if anyone ever asked me, what game should I play next, or I want to play a 2D platformer even, which one should I get, or 2D5, a 2.5D, I mean. I don't think I would ever recommend this one. Like, I don't think this would ever come to top to mind. So I don't think I would recommend it, despite thinking it was a decent game and one that I had fun with. So that's sort of a weird position to be in. I don't think I've had that here on Brothers and Boss Battles, but it's the first time for everything, and I think this game has brought out that first time for that thing. So, all right, Tom, what do you say?
So I will say that I did enjoy playing this game, and it even made me want to continue to play it and, up my completion percentage from my 76%. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of sharing a similar opinion here, and that like while I did enjoy this game, it's not really one that I'm gonna go out and tell people to play. I just think there's better games out there, especially in 2026. Um, maybe in 1999 this would have been a recommend, but yeah, I think I want to make it unanimous and say that while this was a fun game and I enjoyed it, I don't necessarily think that it's worth everyone's time.
All right, there you have it. This has been Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. This has been our episode on Pac Man World Repack. Check us out on Instagram X, Twitch, and YouTube at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Our website, brothersandbossbattles.com. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get this podcast. And tune in 2 weeks when we discuss the second of our spin-off game category. Take care, everyone, and thanks for listening.